Welcome back to Triple Option. We had some Astros fans talking about the Astros in the chat, and I'd almost rather them talk about the election. Given the fact that they just swept the Red Sox.
I see. I knew there was something to this.
I'm not so much mad at the Astros as I am disappointed in the Red Sox for getting swept at home. And then now they have to go play them again in a week. So
yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
At least they're not the White Sox.
No.
It could get worse.
The thing is that the Red Sox are almost really good. And they're like this. The Astros are also almost really good. They're almost really good. But they're not like where both fan bases want them.
Right.
Or, frankly, I say want them to be, emotionally need them to be.
Right. Where they set the bar.
We have a lot wrapped up in it. And I can see good things coming with the Red Sox. I can see it. I just don't know, given the fact that they're my cocaine, that I can wait. Like, because you don't, when you are that exhilarated by a thing, and that's why I use cocaine, nobody who's on cocaine, it's like, hey, we can get you cocaine in 2 hours. And you're like, 2 hours? No.
Not at all.
Like, no. I need it in 2 seconds. Like, this is why I'm this. So that's what the thing is. So, no, Alan, it was not a cheap shot. It was not a cheap shot at the Astros. I did record, and now I have to go through and edit an Astros podcast for something I'm involved in at Rogue Media, and I'm not happy about that either. Mm-hmm. Has nothing to do with the Astros, other than the fact that they're just the ones who happened to sweep the Red Sox. Now, yes, you're right, Garrett. It could have been the White Sox that swept the Red Sox, and that's a thing that I hope I never have to deal with.
Right.
The worst team, perhaps, in the history of Major League Baseball. Mm-hmm. It's happening right now. Yes. Grady Sizemore, who was a fantastic player until injuries derailed his career for Cleveland, is their new interim manager. Last year, he was an intern with the Diamondbacks, just learning how to do things, kind of like a GA, and now he's the manager of the White Sox.
Taking the Eric Spoelstra approach, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, but, Kim Coltis has been sick. Oh, that's not good, Kim.
Not good.
Let's get you back. Look, we have football season coming up. We got to get you healthy. This is the time we need Kim locked in.
Need him and Brando to get right.
Yes. Hopefully we can see Brando sometime this week. Mm-hmm. Hopefully. But I want to talk about this Rodney Hill story because it was really like you knew this was going to happen, and this does happen.
Yeah.
We don't get details on it, but Rodney Hill blamed a bad agent. So his parents hired an agent who then texted coaches from other programs purporting to be Hill. Then it got back to Mike Norvell, and Mike Norvell's like, well, now you got to go.
Yeah.
And I understand that. Like, if you've got a player that's going and texting people saying that
if you don't want to be there, go.
Be there, go. And that was not the case. And so, the source in the article wouldn't say if there were other mitigating circumstances, but he was a 4-star recruit out of Statesboro, Georgia. He's a good player. He's good. But he committed at Florida A&M, and then Willie Simmons left to be the running backs coach at Duke. He then committed to Miami, decommitted once more, and returned to Florida A&M, where he said he took classes and worked out with the team before he got in the portal again, and now he's at Arkansas. And I really do hope for this kid that Arkansas works out for him because but it's very disappointing that these things go on. And his parents got him into this. Mm-hmm. But that's who you also have to prey on. And there's going to be people who get preyed on. And I think it's incumbent upon the NCAA, the conferences, the colleges, all these places to make sure that they just have a very easily accessible agent portal and that everybody knows about it from day one. And these are agents that are approved. They need to do, look, they're like the NFL. They're already getting to that point where they're basically saying, look, this guy's approved of the NFL. We'll let
Right.
you talk to him. People know him. And they meet with agents so that people can know what their next step is if they hire one. Well, now they're hiring them before. So they need to make sure that even younger athletes are headed off of the path for making these mistakes, because your parents are also probably going to be new at this too. So that's the other thing. It's unfortunate that this family got preyed on by this bad actor, and now he's wound up in a place that he didn't necessarily want to be at first, but hopefully it works out for him.
No, and this was inevitable. Honestly, these are the type of things you hate to see, but we see this all the time. I know, like for me personally, at covering recruiting, you come across kids who have handlers and different scenarios of people, or you have like the rogue, like random uncle who thinks he knows or wants to be an agent or something, gets in the mix and gives you bad advice. But I think a lot of it too is you find people who are in desperate situations or whatever, and you sell them. And it's crazy because you would love for a kid to have the input and not the parent to overstep, especially when it's the kid who put in the work and they're going to be the ones that get the benefit of it. So to me, it's kind of, I just think of it like from a parent's perspective. I would never want to do that to my kid. But unfortunately, these things are going to happen. I do like the idea of having a structured database, whether it's something the NCAA puts together, the schools in particular, or whether it's at a conference level where everybody goes and has a pool. But that's really the only way you're going to be able to do it is if you have certain verified people that everybody has to go through, and then you block out the outside. That's the only way you're going to be able to avoid these situations going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just, it's one of those things that's going to happen. And Rodney Hill was unfortunately a victim of it. And people are naive, and you want to say like, oh, I'm going to get you more money. Your parents are like, okay, yeah, we got to sign with this guy. And look, Rodney Hill in 2 years at Florida State had, 77 carries and a couple touchdowns. And, it showed some flashes, but he was going to be behind Toafili. He was going to be behind Rodale Williams. He was going to be behind Cam Davis, who's their number one running back recruit this next year. So, yeah, I mean, like him transferring was not a surprise. The way it went down was a huge surprise. And look, sometimes they don't even want to transfer.
No.
And I'll just stay here and see how it goes. So, I hate this for that, but it's part of it. And the NFL's been really slow on business education for players, really slow on it and really bad on it. Like it's a thing in the last 5 years they've really taken a stand on after watching 100 years of players make terrible decisions.
Do you think we'll get to a point where like colleges put in a place for athletes where you have a financial like stability class
financial
or
literacy
program like that you
I think
mandatory?
I think you have to have it. I think high schools need to have it.
They should, but
high schools need to have it. Now, when I was in high school, part of my economics class was financial literacy, and it was about 3 weeks of a section, but it wasn't a whole thing. But taught us how to make a budget,
your basic stuff,
basic things. But I do think that. Yeah, we also, and this I don't like. We had one semester of government and one semester of economics.
My daughter's going through that this year. That's how it's set up, yeah.
I think that we could expand that a little bit more, where you could have 1 year dedicated to government, because we are clearly in a place in American culture right now where we don't fully understand as a collective how our government works.
No.
And we don't fully understand how business works. And as opposed to 4 months of your senior year, maybe spend some more time so that you're ready for it when you're out in the world. Because I can't tell you how many times I hear people saying things. I'm like, well, that's
not quite true.
It's not what it is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what people want you to think that it is, so that whatever their BS agenda is from whatever side of the aisle is on, that you'll freak out and be like, oh, they can just do this. You're like, well, no, they can't.
Yeah.
They thought of this like 200 years ago. They kind of thought of all these things. None of this stuff is new in human history. Like, it's all been kind of thought of. And then if there's like a new way to try to do that old thing, then usually we can figure out and head it off at the past. But sometimes people are like, oh, but yeah. And so I think, absolutely, they need to teach financial literacy in high schools. And I do think that They do. There's a class called First Year Experience, and no, we cannot rent you an apartment. That's our daily. Is this the leasing office?
Every day.
I saw them coming in behind you.
Every day.
I saw them. But I think that instead of first year experience, which I know, especially for at bigger schools, they have for kids that come from. If you had gone from Oglesby to Texas,
I can only imagine.
you would have needed
Yes.
this first year experience course to kind of, hey, when you walk into a room, there'll be more than 9 people in it.
Adapt.
Yeah. And even you probably walked in a room and like, why are there 9 people in here? This is insane.
Yeah, that's big numbers over there.
We only have 7 desks. What are these other people going to do? Who are they?
Send a
Who are
quarter.
these two? Get them out of here. It's too crowded. But all that, there should be financial literacy in.
No, and you bring up a good point about the high school because, I mean, not just in general, it should be, but as NIL and everything's keep expanding in certain states to where it's now trickled into high school, that's even better and more of an opportunity to put it in place. But I think you'll have better luck at the college level. But I do think that is something that I don't know how they would figure it out. But as this continues to evolve, I think that's something that definitely needs to be implemented across the board for everybody's safety, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, look, I'm 44. I've been living on my own for quite a long time, but I feel like I need a financial literacy course every now and again with, like one thing I'll tell you, I was caught completely flat-footed in my life with going from being a W-2, W-4
like
employee
to a
1099.
Yeah.
The first year I was like, it didn't even occur to me that it was different because we'd been coming off of being unemployed and I still had a W-2 that I had to, but then like it was half of a year of this and half a year of that. And my first year of doing that, like I remember just calling an accountant buddy of mine and going like, hey, I cannot, like I've been unemployed. I cannot pay you your normal fees. Like just send it to me.
Right.
And so I've learned, and now I have a new thing. I'm going to have to change a whole bunch of other stuff. And I kind of know how it works, but I'm going to need a guy.
Absolutely.
And I don't mind going to a guy, but
if you could be taught it. Yes.
But as a new opportunity has come to me, I'm going to need to learn how to funnel things in different directions. The other new thing that's happened in my life in the last 365 days is I have a wife. And so there was it was like 2 years of me going like, oh, I'm spending way too much money on this. Done. But it's a slow process. So yes, financial literacy is important, especially for these athletes. And I really think it's a big deal. And I feel bad for Rodney Hill. I feel bad for his parents. But also I feel worse for him because he's like, his parents come to him and go, hey, we talked to this guy. And you're like, okay, well, cool. But also it's parents like, oh, we can get more money out of this.
But I mean, if you do the work and you have the success on the field, the money's going to come at the end of the day. Yeah. So, be patient.
Yeah, absolutely. Be patient. We've got a really awesome show today.
We really do.
We have a really awesome show.